Typically, I'll get up in the morning. Right now, because I'm traveling so much, I'm all over the map. And quite frankly, one of the most difficult things is staying consistent, right? You're in a different place, on an airplane, in an RV. Yesterday I was in just outside of Nashville. The day before that, I was outside of Atlanta. Today I'm in San Diego. So it's hard to stay consistent. So typically I'll get up, getting a lot of messages right now. There's a bunch of stuff happening with the launch of the new album. So I'll get messages from friends, fans, people who are excited about what's going on with the project. I'll respond to some of them. Typically give people that I call, people that I love a call and touch base with them. Then grab a cup of coffee, and depending on where I'm at, like I'm in San Diego, I'll find a hot tub or a pool, spend a little time there in a hot tub or a pool. And again, it really depends on where I'm at. I was in Tennessee for the longest time. It was raining, constantly raining. There's something really cathartic and beautiful about sitting outside the RV, if it's not too windy, with that overhang, the little tarp, watching the rain come down, feeling the weather. I like being in an environment where there's a lot of people, and then being able to get away from it, and then just being like alone with my thoughts, with nature, thinking, creating, writing. It's an interesting thing for me. The age that I'm doing this, like new adventure, if I was 18, 20, 22 years old, I think I would have handled it differently. But because I decided to run another play and do something radically different in my life, I've been in corporate, entrepreneurial environment, or, boardrooms, business settings where there was a lot of people and you have a structure. You're at an office at this time, you're with these people, you're on these conference calls, your calendar's filled day in and day out with meeting after meeting after meeting. But there's something that happens when you change that environment and you go, okay, what am I going to do today? What's going to happen today? And you get used to a certain routine, but sometimes routine can also be a jail. And I think it's important to have a certain amount of structure, but if you have too much, then you just follow your structure rather than, sometimes you got to change hands that you lather yourself up with, right? Sometimes you get into the same process. I do everything exactly the same, and your mind doesn't think in different ways. For me, trying to be creative, see life through a different lens, I have to put myself in a different environment, which means breaking routine, which there's a challenge to that as well. If you're not disciplined, you can have that freedom become actually a negative. So you have to have the right balance of freedom and creativity and change of routine. It's not a black and white thing. If I'm too structured, I'm not as creative. One of the things that happened for me on this trip, I went through a lot of very difficult times just prior to COVID. A lot of very difficult things happened for me. I was touched in a very difficult way by suicide, people that I knew. Just too many really, really dark things happened in a very short period of time. And it tends to take away your hope and your belief in excitement in life, and you get like depressed and filled with all this anxiety and tension. And one of the things that I found coming out the other side of a lot of that trauma was life is supposed to be fun, in my book anyway. And one of the things that you do to make it fun is be curious, like be excited about learning something new, discovering something new. When we were little kids, everything was new. Everything was exciting. Everything, like I remember walking into a movie theater one time with my little girls as they'd never been into a movie theater before. And I got to watch through their eyes as they walked into a movie theater. It was like this whole other world. Well, in life, we always have a new movie theater, a new whole other world. But sometimes we get so structured in doing things a certain way that we forget to stop and look. You heard that phrase, stop and smell the roses. when that just becomes a phrase that you just say and you don't really realize that I gotta stop and look at the things that are going on around me, like be curious and amazed. Life is amazing. There's so much to be excited about, even with all the negativity that's out there. I can either focus on the negativity or go look for the beauty. One of the things that happened when I decided to drive across the country is I saw beauty everywhere. And it didn't matter if it was in a city or in a slot canyon, by a beach, mountains, swamps. It didn't matter. Everywhere I was going, it's like, oh, look at that. Something cool and new. And there's this whole idea of running another play and going and doing something different and looking through a different lens. It reinvigorates that excitement for life. And it doesn't matter how old you are, or your background, what you have done or what you haven't done. Every day you can go, hey, I'm going to go do something new. I'm going to go live something new. I'm going to go approach it in a different way. It's a double-edged sword. This is the most powerful tool and the most destructive tool. This is something that can open doors to creativity, connect us to people all over the world, allow us to discover things that we would never discover. Or it can cause you to be insecure, addicted, disconnected. You live your life inside of the device rather than inside of a conversation with another person, something digital or a real person. Right now, society is in a very unique situation. In all of human history that I know about or I've read about, we've never had the tools that we have, that we know about. We've never had the tools that we have today. How we use those tools, the way we see ourselves, the way we express ourselves, and the way we connect as humans, these things are either going to build us up or tear us down. And I see in some cases, especially with young people, it's disconnected them from other people. And those things where you think about when I was young, we used to play a lot. And there's something about playing that causes you to create a new world in your head where you visualize in your head the world that you're creating, right? But when you're being informed how to think, or you're being told, I'm good enough or I'm not good enough, both of those can be destructive. Oh my gosh, I'm so popular. Or, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough and I'll never amount to anything. They're both lies. Going out and playing and being out in the world and discovering allows your brain to think in a different way. And the creative forces, I think, that come through that discovery, so powerful. And yet we go, oh, playing, make-believe. Make-believe is picturing something in your mind rather than being told what to think or how to see yourself or how to see others. Sometimes, and I see this in the world right now, we're so caught up on judging somebody else's actions and judging who they are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, and not realizing that I've never walked in their shoes. I don't know the pain that they've experienced. And yet, because of some clip that came through a device, all of a sudden I've passed a judgment on somebody I know nothing about. I think that's really destructive. But I also don't want to throw the thing away because it's the most amazing tool ever. I was talking to a friend just the other day, and I said, remember when they learned how to split the atom? And the power of splitting the atom, this new ability we had, could either destroy the world or power the world. It's like we've got in the same thing two different possibilities. I think life is this interesting thing where you get to choose which path you want to go by. I love that. Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still a little stairway to heaven. Music today is in an interesting state. I personally believe music is about connecting people. Like we connect through stories and songs. If you think about from the time we were sitting around campfires singing or pounding out rhythms together, it was connecting tribes and people. I think music and stories connect us. When somebody's singing something authentically or playing something and sharing music together, I think it's incredibly powerful. One of the things that's happening though in today's music, and AI, I'm not sure where I stand on it yet. It could be the coolest technology or it could just be the end of everything creative. I don't think it'll go there. I do think we're going to find the right balance. I don't know if we're going to break in the process before we find it, but AI can do such amazing things, but it'll never speak from the heart to another heart the way a person can speak, sing, connect to another person. And music for me is about storytelling and a vibe. And feeling a vibe with somebody else, sharing and expressing that with somebody else. I think in certain cases, music has become too formulaic. And when it becomes too formulaic, you don't allow for the possibility of something undiscovered. And everybody's trying to be like somebody else instead of going, I'm just going to be me and be the best me I can be. And some people will say, well, I'm just going to be me. They don't strive to get better, be a better me, right? And then some people are just trying to reproduce what somebody else did. I don't think you get the right creative vibe when you're trying to reproduce somebody else's stuff. You can sing somebody else's song, but sing it your way. Be you completely. And if you could do that, you go, this is how I'm feeling it, interpret it your own way. It's one of the things I love about music is, especially when you start pulling different genres together and pulling this and that, people will say, oh no, that's this person's or this culture's or this style. You know what? So much music that we say, oh, that's this culture's music. Well, that came from Mozart. And where did it come before that? You know, so music has a history that nobody owns it. It's all of ours together. And I think when you allow, for me, I love the idea when I was able to really think about if I can hear music through your ears, I'll understand you better. I'll feel the things you feel better. Like, oh, wow, you dig that bossa nova sound. Oh, you dig that hip hop sound, or you dig that country sound. What is it about that sound that moves you, right? Reggae, boom. You watch everybody in sync moving together. I mean, there's something so cool about watching a group of people move together in a positive way. In society, too often we jump on the negative stuff. We listen to the news telling us how horrible everything is. But you know, you go to certain places, I mean, think about this. How many times have you been somewhere where you have everybody around you all vibing to the same energy? It's not a negative. It's not a we're hating something. It's like we're loving this and we're loving it together. I remember seeing a total solar eclipse one time. And as I was looking at this amazing moment, there's no way you could capture that moment on camera. And everybody that was watching that moment was there in that moment in awe of the coolest thing. The way the world felt, the way it looked, and the way everybody around us was looking. It was epic. It made me think, how many times are we in a situation where everybody's vibing together, everybody's amazed together, everybody's hopeful together? And there's very few places that you see that. But you go to a concert where everybody loves that sound that's happening, nothing like it. My mom, I don't want to get emotional on this one. You know, you've heard it said sometimes you don't truly appreciate what you've got until it's gone. Love my mom. My mom was amazing, a saint. But boy, could she talk to anybody. When we were young, we would go on horse trips, and she was what are these things called? Western endurance rides. So we would ride Western endurance. And so we'd go on these trips and Mom would just talk to everybody. And she was just kind to everybody. I remember watching it, but as a little kid, I'm like, Mom, stop talking to everybody. We've got something to do, or we've got somewhere to be, or whatever. And Mom would be talking to somebody. It didn't matter if it was in a coffee shop or it was in the, rest area along the side of the freeway. She'd be making a friend and talking to somebody. I get a little emotional, not only because I miss my mom, but now I think about what I'm doing. And in 2021, when my father died, I was holding his hand. And he didn't ask me about money, business, things, politics. He just said, sing to me. And I'm holding his hand and I'm singing Fly Me to the Moon as my dad is dying. And it was a powerful moment because I realized, you know what, we're all trying to do our best and someday the journey comes to an end. It's just done. So do the best you can while you're in it. And someday it's just over. And we hold on to trauma and pain and toxic things that we don't need to. So as I'm holding his hand, I'm singing and he's asking me to sing for me. I looked out into the driveway. He had a camper that he never used. So I said, I'm selling everything. I'm going to take his camper and I'm going to drive across the country for 3 months. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write an album. I'm going to go from the left coast to the right coast. And I'm going to go look for where people get it right. I get a little emotional because I think for 3 months, I'm going to do exactly what my mom used to do. And she just talked to people. And I started talking to people. And 3 months turned into 3 years. Now I've been on the road for 3 years. And if Mom could see me, she'd be proud. Wow, that one hit hard. So now, this project is bigger than me. This project at first, the Right Across America project, was really just something I was going to do for me. And then I was going to go start another business or do something like quote unquote real. But I'd write songs along the way. And I'd write songs based on conversations I'd have with people. Just like my mom used to do, talking to strangers. But I got more out of strangers that I would meet. From slot canyons in Utah, to the Everglades, to the Florida Keys, Muscle Shoals, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, across the country, Texas. And I'd meet people, and I'd capture things they would say, and I'd write, and they became the song, the content for songs that I put out. Now we're recording the second album, and it's all material that was based on conversations or places that I went to meet people with no agenda. Just to go see, is this country and our people still worth believing in? I just was talking to somebody here in the coffee shop, and I said that, are people still worth believing in? And he said to me, and what did you find? The answer is yes. Still worth believing in.